for, let's see.
Hello, everyone. My name is Angela Hines, and I'm an IATAN card holder. I am, my niche is doing group travel. So I've done a few trainings in the past where I've been able to share about finding groups, hotel room blocks, group cruises, and more. And one of the trainings I mentioned that I'm getting a little more familiar with a tool called WeTravel. So I decided we all can get to explore a little bit more about this special product and how we can use it for groups. So thank you all for taking the time to carve your time out to join this session. And as I mentioned, I am getting familiar with it. So by no means am I a pro yet, but I decided to invite a subject matter expert to our call to train us all. And I'd like to introduce you to Mary Grant. And we were talking earlier, trying to get this all together. Thank you guys so much for your patience. Mary is a strategic account executive at WeTravel, and she has worked there for over 3 years and now has watched the company quadruple in size. And she says that one of the things that she loves about working at WeTravel is that she gets to work with travel agents like us that give her real-time feedback. And this is essential because it helps her dictate what features to apply, what to implement, what to make new. And this allows it to continue to grow. And we get to be a part of that, making this product an amazing one-stop shop for all its users. So I'm so excited that she gets to train all of us and go through this amazing feature. Hopefully you get as much out of it as I do. And so let's give our attention to Mary.
Thank you so much, Angela. Yeah, it's a pleasure to virtually meet all of you. So as Angela mentioned, I work for WeTravel. Angela started using us a few months ago. And really what we are is like a booking and payment platform designed for travel agents to make group bookings a lot easier. I know with talking with some travel agents, I know sometimes people turn down the opportunity to work with groups. Some people, it's just, when you're dealing with even a group of like, 6, but especially as you get into bigger groups, it can just mean a lot of admin work and a lot of tasks that if you don't have the right system in place, it can just not even sometimes be worth doing it, or it can make it a lot harder to manage and just way more difficult than it needs to be. So that's kind of where WeTravel has come into place. Like I said, the basics of what you can call us is like a booking and payment platform for these group bookings that you put together. So today is the first series of three different trainings I'll be here to lead. Today, what we're going to be focusing on is kind of like the basics of, again, of like, what is WeTravel? Why do travel agents use it? And then especially what we'll be focusing on today is not only why is it good for travel agents, but then also why is it good for your travelers? What are the benefits they can see from it? And then, with that, what we'll focus on today is the customer's point of view. So like if you are to use WeTravel, what are your customers going to see? Why is it beneficial for them? And then, we'll kind of link that to, the benefits for them and then why that leads into benefits for you guys as well. So Angela, and we're kind of working on the fly here because Zoom is giving us some issues. So we are going to pull up the links on Angela's computer. When you have those in place, Angela, feel free to start sharing your screen. And then while you're working on getting that up, like I said, I'll do the presentation, and then we have some time left over after the presentation for Q&A. So if you guys have any questions while I'm doing my presentation, feel free to write them in the chat. And then after I go through my portion of the presentation, we'll take some time to go through different questions. So feel free to ask away. And of course, after the presentation, I'll answer everything that I can. And until we do that, let me get some things prepared on my end. Great. And just out of curiosity, where is everybody joining from today? I know that I saw some people in the chat right where they're from. Looks like we have some Washington people. Iowa, Pennsylvania. Amazing. All over the place. Illinois, Kansas City, Denver. I just moved from there. Awesome. We're from all over. Cool. Okay. Well, thank you, Angela, for getting this up. Um, so yeah, basically, kind of like what I was saying was We Travel, we've been built for groups. I know a lot of the times travel agents, you guys are doing, either FIT or small group trips. And again, what we're here to do is focus on those group bookings to make that a lot easier for you guys. And Angela, do you want to go to the next tab with where it talks about the travel agents? Oh, it should be the second link I shared with you.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, and then so to tailor it a little bit more specifically to you guys, and Angela, you can feel free to just kind of like slowly scroll down the page. But yeah, what We Travel is was built specifically for travel agents is just to make things a lot easier for you guys. We work to streamline everything that has to do with like bookings and payments. So when it comes to payment flexibility, deposit, automated payment plans for the future, automatically updating people's and customers' payment statuses, things like that. That's where we really shine and provide the most value. So a couple of ways that we can do that specifically for travel agents like you guys is one, with some of the software that I'll show you today, we actually have tools built in to help you attract more customers. So within our system, we have lead conversion tools, lead tracking tools. With the kind of trip pages that we allow you to share, you are able to see like who's engaging with these different trip pages, which kind of act as a proposal. I'll show you an example of those in just a little bit. So you can kind of get like a warm leads list of who's interacted with your page and maybe who hasn't booked yet. And with that, we also provide like abandoned cart features as well. So if somebody started your checkout process, but they've abandoned it, you can see kind of like who's gotten into that portion of the checkout process. So again, you kind of, they're sent a link to come back at any time. We also kind of like what I've been touching on this whole time as well is we really work to reduce your administrative tasks as well. So again, I totally understand with like group bookings that you're putting together. A lot of the times when you're dealing with a group of, again, small group, but especially even those larger groups with cruises and things like that, a lot of tedious work goes into that with keeping track of who's booked, like what's everybody's payment status is, who sent in what documents, who signed off on the e-signatures if you have any, who's, filled out those registration forms or responded to you with information that you need. Those are all things that we can streamline for you. So you're no longer in charge of keeping track of it or manually updating it on your own, personal records. Lastly, too, we also help with providing payment flexibility for your customers. So besides from just being able to process any kind of like major debit or credit cards, we also work to provide your customers with different payment options as well. So for those of you that work with customers primarily in the US, which I'm sure is majority of you guys, we offer ACH payments as well that have no service fee attached to them, like a credit card payment would. And that typically reduces the fees for your customers and then also you guys too, if you are the ones absorbing them. If anyone here does work with customers outside of the US, we also provide a lot more information in terms of, or I guess a lot more payment methods in terms of, depending on where they're located, we can provide them with local payment methods as well. So again, just more reduction of fees on everybody's end as well. And like I said, I know I'm kind of like a broken record at this point, but we just work to make group bookings a lot easier and providing you guys with like that one-stop shop. So when you are doing a group travel trip or a group booking, everything you need is in one place. That's kind of how we differ from like a Travelify or a Traveljoy. And this might make more sense when we get into actually like sharing with you what our software looks like in just a second here. But because We Travel is geared specifically for group bookings, we're able to, or a lot of our travel agents use us in addition to something like a Travelify or a Traveljoy. And that might make a little bit more sense in just a bit too, once we go over all of the capabilities we provide. So Angela, if you want to pull up your trip page, we can kind of go through that as well. Perfect. Okay, so Angela volunteered her trip page that she built within WeTravel to share as kind of an example today, because it's a wonderful trip page that she's built. So what we're actually looking at here is what WeTravel refers to as our trip pages. So all that these pages are right here, they're just a link, like a URL that we provide. And it kind of works as like a proposal, an itinerary, an invoice, a payment link, all in one place. On these trip pages, they're completely customizable. So when you're building out that proposal for a group, we basically have like a 6-step template, and we'll get into what that looks like, in further training sessions as well. But the end product that you would get from building out this trip page is something we're looking at here. Again, completely customizable based with what kind of information you want to include on here. And Angela, if you want to scroll down a little bit. You can see Angela's put a bunch of amazing information in here. She's provided paragraphs like packing list, terms and conditions, contact information for herself. You can also see that there's a section to edit what's included in the customer's price and what's not included. So just avoid any kind of confusion up front. Angela was also, with our system, you can build in as many packages as you want. So if you guys offer different tiered pricing, kind of like with Angela, she has all of her different rooming availability here. So you can build unlimited packages for, as you can see, like a standard ocean view for 2, a single ocean view room. You can also build it on, like, if you ever work with, like a adult package versus child package. It's completely, again, customized for each of the trips that you put into our system. Angela, if you want to scroll down a little bit more, we also can provide like add-ons or extras as well. So if you guys do offer like airport transfer or something like that, you can also build that into our system. Here's where you can see also our embeddable itinerary page as well. So you can build day-by-day itineraries into our system that your customers can scroll through and have like a pretty viewing gallery here. You can build as much or as little into that agenda for each day as well. So Angela's kept it pretty concise with just like a few sentences here and there. Some of our customers even want to get into, 8 a.m. Here's what to expect, 9 a.m., 12 p.m. So it's really up to you and what kind of itinerary you want to provide for your customers. And then if you want to scroll down a little bit, Angela, a few other features, finishing off with a photo gallery. So again, if you guys want to upload pictures of rooms or, the activities to expect on this certain trip, destination photos, it's a great way to have these photo galleries, again, all in one page. So a customer, typically when these trip pages are sent out, it's after you've discussed with the customer, exactly what they're looking for. Of course, like you put together the pricing, the itinerary, and then this is kind of like the final customer viewing project that you'll send over. Again, all they are just a link. So it's as simple as just copying and pasting the link we provide you, sending it to your customers in an email, or even just like the point of contact that you have, and they can share it with the rest of their group so that people have all of this information in one place. And then another benefit of this is, Angela, if you scroll back to the top, they have all this information in one place, which again, these trip pages are also mobile friendly as well. So your customers can, of course, access these on their computers, but they can also pull this up on their phones as well, which is, of course, important in this day and age. But what's really nice with these trip pages is, let's say you send it out to your customers, they think it's great, everything looks good, they're able to book directly from here as well. So Angela, if you go ahead and click that green button, thank you. Once your customers are ready to book, they don't need to wait for a separate invoice. They don't need to wait for a payment link. They're able to just start that checkout process whenever they're ready. So you can see WeTravel has created a really simplified 3-step checkout process that we'll show you right now. Angela, if you, instead of doing the standard ocean view for 2, why don't we book us for just like one of the single options? It'll just make the rest of the checkout process a little bit quicker. But you can see a customer can go in, they can see all of the options that they have to book, and they can go ahead and book in whatever package they want. For this purpose, we're obviously just booking one person into the trip, but same thing goes like if a customer has, let's say they're booking for them and their husband, or they're booking for them and their kids, or, maybe they're booking for 4 people at a time. It doesn't matter. We'll be able to track all that inventory. So they're able to just go in and choose however many people they want to book for. Right away at the bottom, you can see that it prompts them to pay that deposit. So they're able to see exactly what that deposit is up front. But not only that, they'll also be able to see what the rest of their payment installments look like for, post deposit as well. So they'll have all of that clarity right up front. 500 is due at the deposit, and then exactly what's to come next as well, which, what we found is providing your customers with all of the clarity they can get at the time of booking, preferably even before they book, the more likely, the more comfortable they'll be with proceeding with the booking, because they'll know exactly what to pay and when that's going to be expected. Of course, we also always give your customers the option to pay that full amount upfront if they'd like as well. So go ahead and press continue, Angela. So the second step, and then Angela, while I'm talking about this, feel free to just put in like a name and then an email up top. It can be totally fake. But the second step in this checkout process is going to be basically creating an online registration form for your customers. So with this, it's completely customizable based on like each of your tours again. So any kind of information you need from your customers from each and every one of your tours, this is where you're able to collect that. So again, everything's in one place. When your customers are doing the checkout process, they're also giving you the information that's necessary for this trip. So names and emails are always going to be asked from your customers. Aside from that, you can see in Angela's trip page, this is the other information that she needs. So she's asked for date of birth, street address, and Angela, just so you know, you can feel free to fill out all of those, but you can feel free to also only fill out the like required questions. And what I mean by that is kind of like what I just told Angela, you have the option on whether your customers want to fill out, all of this information, but you can also make certain of these questions required, meaning they can't proceed with the checkout process until they enter in these certain questions that are marked required. So if you know there's information you need before they even book, like for instance, signing off on your terms or cancellation policies, you're able to get that information before they even complete their booking. Anything else that's left unrequired, that they can go back into their customer portal, which I'll bring up in just a second here, and they can answer that, when they have more convenience, when they have more time, and you can still keep track of, what everybody has filled out. So go ahead and press continue, Angela, when you're ready. And then this is when it brings them to their payment screen. So with WeTravel, kind of like what I was talking about at the beginning, we offer your customers two different ways on how they want to pay for your trips. One is via these ACH accounts. If you guys are familiar with ACH payments, it's basically the same thing as like an online check, e-check, bank transfer. Instead of paying with a credit or debit card, they're able to pay directly from their bank, which provides them a lower service fee as well. So they'll always be prompted to pay that method first. But then, Angela, if you press on that card option, they'll, of course, always be able to pay with card, debit or credit, any kind of major debit card as well. So we work with Stripe, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with, to securely process these card payments. So if your customers want the points, some people just prefer to pay with a card, they're able to enter in their card information. But really, no matter how they pay, they'll just, as soon as they're ready to book, they'll press that green confirm booking. And from that point, they're pretty much good to go. From the point that they pay that deposit, pretty much everything after the fact is going to be streamlined. So once they book this, or once they press that confirm booking button at the bottom, they'll then be brought to a booking confirmation page where they're able to sign off on any e-signature documents that you've uploaded. So if you want like a signature on, let's say, like terms and conditions or cancellation policies, liability waivers, doesn't matter what it is, they'll be brought to a page where they'll sign off on those. And then also we work with, or we allow you to work with any kind of travel insurance partner that you want as well. So again, as soon as customers press this confirm booking button, they'll also be brought to a page where they can purchase travel insurance. And basically it's just a button that says get travel insurance. As soon as customers click on it, they're redirected to whatever kind of link you want them to go to. So whether you're working with affiliate links, or maybe you want them to go to just like straight to like a travel insurance website, you're able to have full control on like where that button actually leads them to. Also, once your customers press this confirm booking button, they're sent an automatic order confirmation email. So right as soon as they pay, they're sent like a receipt for what they just paid. And then of course, a review of their upcoming payment plan. Also, they're sent a link to their customer portal as well. So Angela, I'm not sure if we're able to show the customer portals just because they need like a login and whatnot, but just to kind of like emphasize what's included in those customer portals, it's been a game changer for a lot of our clients because WeTravel hosts a page where your clients can log into at any time. It's secure. So they log in with their own email address and then their own chosen password. And in their customer portals, they're able to see like an entire activity log for what they've paid to you guys. They're able to make future payments by just a click of a button. They're able to update their information. So for instance, for those registration forms that Angela just showed us, if there was any unrequired questions, they're able to go back into that customer portal and update that information when convenient, once they buy their flight. If you've asked them for a flight number, they're then able to log back in and update that info. If they maybe missed either signing that e-signature document right after they book, or maybe they missed the fact to purchase travel insurance through you, they'll also be given those options in their customer portal as well. So it basically just provides them with a really easy to access portal that's personalized to just them. So they have all the information about the trip you've created for them in one place. So what we found with that is it saves a lot of our travel agents countless hours because no longer are people needing to call you guys to be like, hey, when is that payment due again? Or when do how do I get that payment to you? What did I pay you on July 1st? All of that information can then now be securely given to them at their fingertips. So it typically saves a lot of people a lot of time. But that's really what I wanted to share with you guys today. I know it was quite a bit of information, but really like the focus on today's presentation was just to show you like the customer's point of view. So of course we've seen what those trip pages look like, what that checkout process looks like, and then we've talked about like what that customer portal looks like as well. But this basically just like streamlines the process for WeTravel because a lot of travel agents, they're using multiple systems to cover, what we kind of just talked about here, where WeTravel keeps everything in one place. What we'll get into in next sessions as well is of course like what it's going to look like more from like your guys' perspective, so how you build those trip pages once you start to get bookings and payments. How's it going to look to manage everything in WeTravel, because that's a huge value add for us. But of course today we're going to we more focused on what does it look like for the customer and what are the benefits it provides your customers. So just to like kind of summarize what we talked about today, we've got their data from the travel agents that we do work with, and I think it's something like 90% of them have seen increased customer satisfaction just because customers are given more clarity and they're more in the know. And it's also just way more streamlined for your customers. So they don't have to use like a different DocuSign software. They don't have to use a different software to like look up their itinerary. They don't need to use something else to then like pay for the trip. It's all just in one spot that makes it easier for them. Angela, was there anything else you wanted to add in terms of like, the customer's point of view? Because I know obviously you're an active user of WeTravel. Anything else you wanted to add before we kind of dive into the Q&A portion?
I just wanted to show, let me share my screen again. I want to show the brochure portion of it. I forgot. There's a PDF version that's available. That is awesome, especially if your client would just like to have it to show their friends. You can email it. You just press download brochure and you can email it to them. They can email it to a friend. Like, hey, maybe you'd be interested in going to this event, or come join me. And then they can just send it themselves, but you can also do it as well. So I think this is a great feature to have as a PDF.
Yeah, and I'll touch on this really quick because you totally reminded me, because I completely bypassed this feature. So yeah, kind of like as Angela said, and you can exit out of this too, and I'll kind of get into like the download brochure and the ask a question button. If you
Okay.
want to scroll down just a little bit, because my face might, there we go. But yeah, exactly as Angela said, what we talked about before was, if your customers, if they're ready to book, they're able to do that at any time using that green button. However, if you send these pages over to your clients, let's say maybe they're not quite ready to book, but they're still interacting with your page, they have the option, like Angela said, to download that brochure. So basically what that means is it converts this entire We Travel trip page that we're looking at here into a downloadable PDF. As an organizer, you can also just download it and then share it with your clients. But this is a great way for your clients to just have like this information all in one document that they can access offline. Some people want to print it off as a hard copy. It just gives them that access. So they'll have the opportunity to do that. Also, what Angela just clicked on was the ask a question button. So let's say like your customers see this, they think it's great, but they have a question for you maybe about like the itinerary, if they can change something up or anything else they might have a question on. They'll also be able to reach out directly to the trip organizer. You can see they'll need to enter in their name, email, phone number, which is optional, and then their question here. And if they do want to send that question, it just goes directly to your email inbox. So as soon as somebody asks us a question, you'll be able to see what that question is and respond to them. But the best thing about these two little buttons here, so the download brochure or the ask a question button, is We Travel will also keep tabs of everyone who's interacted with these buttons. So let's say somebody hasn't booked yet, but they've downloaded a brochure, or maybe somebody's asked a question. Maybe somebody has done both. You'll be able to log into We Travel, and this is something we'll cover in like the coming weeks training as well, but you'll be able to have like a leads tab where you can see everybody who's interacted with those two buttons and whether they've booked or not. So if there's anyone who hasn't booked, you'll be able to have the option to, send the message or reach out to kind of like keep that booking going. And then while we're on this note too, in terms of lead tracking, I guess the last thing I'll bring up, I kind of touched on it earlier. But if your customers do start the checkout process, so let's say they picked out what package they're going to want to buy, they've entered in maybe like half of their registration form, and then they exit out. We Travel also gives you the options to enable those abandoned cart notifications. So what that means is exactly 24 hours after your customers abandon that checkout process, we'll send them an automated email saying like, hey, click here to complete your booking with the link to exactly where they left off to increase your sales conversions as well. There's a study out there. I'm probably going to botch this statistic, but long story short, enabling an abandoned cart notification is one of the easiest things you guys can do as well to increase those sales conversions. So it's a great feature to have along with these different lead conversion tools to just kind of like see who's going to be, or just better increase your sales conversions and see who's interacting with your page. So if needed, you can reach out as well.
That's great. I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
That's a game changer because
totally.
there's so many times I've used Amazon cart and go, oh yeah, I think I might buy that. And then, you get a reminder and it's like, oh yeah, I need to buy that.
Yeah,
So that's
exactly. Exactly.
great. All
Especially if
right.
it just makes it easier, or if it makes it easy for them to just be like, boom, okay, complete booking.
Yes.
Done. Yeah.
Yes. For sure.
But thank you for that reminder. I think that's everything I wanted to share from the customers
Okay.
for today.
Okay. Well, I'm going to start with some of the Q&A that is in the chat here, and then people can always unmute their line or ask more in the, yeah. Thank you so much, Mary. That was very informative. And so today was more about the customer view. What will the customers see when they're looking at We Travel? Next week, we'll get into more of the travel agent component. How do we manage things? How is it appealing for us to use? And there's such an ease of use that, so I hope you guys come to the next session. And then the last one will be more of the money management part of it, because that's a huge component as well. So the question I have here from Cindy is, do you have suggestions for policies and general rules and regs for groups?
We Travel doesn't really like have our own. I mean, We Travel has We Travel's terms and conditions. But like in terms of for you guys, because all of our clients have different regulations and different policies and terms and things like that, we leave it totally up to you guys. So if you guys do have some for your groups, you can go ahead and just upload them for any trip that you're putting together. If you don't have any, then it will always kind of like default or like show We Travel's basic terms and conditions, but we definitely want to give you guys the option to upload your own.
Yeah. So I did my own terms and conditions for mine, and I was able to look at some other itineraries that I thought were amazing and thought, oh, I love these terms and conditions. And you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can grab some policies and procedures and add them in yourself. Whatever secures, it's your business. So you have to protect yourself. So I think getting them from different places or coming up with them yourself is the best
Totally.
way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And sorry, go for it.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if that's something that you guys did want more information on, kind of like what Angela said, we can always like show you similar travel agents trip pages, or there's also like so many templates just via a Google search. So like if you guys do want to find like your own or working to build your own terms, there's definitely resources we can guide you to as well.
Great, great. Next question is, do you work with Travefy?
Well, so this is, I touched on this earlier, but we don't like integrate with Travefy because Travefy is more built out for like the FIT or like individual traveler. So with a lot of our travel agents, they use both softwares. Like they'll use the Travefy or TravelJoy for more of their like FIT or individual trips, where, when it comes time to put together a group booking or a group trip, they'll use WeTravel. I'm not sure exactly how Travefy or like TravelJoy's pricing is set up, but the nice thing with WeTravel is we don't run on any like contracts or commitments, and we'll get into this in like later sessions as well. But it's great because let's say you have a group booking you want to use it for, awesome, you can get started in literally a day. And then if you have a quiet time where maybe you're focused more on FIT, then you don't have to use or pay for our service. So it kind of gives you that flexibility as well.
Awesome. That. And then somebody asked about, did it take deposits? And they saw that yes, it does. Is a credit card authorization form needed for this type of booking?
Good question. And so with WeTravel, it's not necessarily needed. We obviously, like as you've probably seen, we work best for like the groups that you don't have to pay direct this to the supplier on, because all those payments that you receive through WeTravel, whether your customers are paying ACH or via credit or debit card, and again, we'll cover this more in later sessions, but those payments will just go directly into your WeTravel available balance, where there you're able to, either put that onto a card or make a transfer to your bank and then pay your suppliers that way. So because of that, you do not need to have like a credit card authorization form ready to go.
Yeah, because they are entering it. You're not the liaison between their payment. So a credit card authorization form is not needed. Which is a great thing, because if you have a group of 50 people or so, then you don't have to take all of those credit card authorization forms. They're paying themselves directly, which is awesome. Kind of circumvents that whole thing. One less thing for us to do.
Totally.
Another question is, would this be better suited for contracted and group pricing? Would you recommend this for Group E's reservation? I ask because Group E's bookings are basically fit bookings and price fluctuate. I would say so. Well, Group E's is used for like VACs and those type of groups. I would say no, not necessarily because of the fluctuation. Yeah, but do you have anything to add with that?
I was going to say, Angela, you probably know better than I do because I'm not exactly sure what Group E's reservations is. I will say our our pricing is very easy to edit. Like even after
Yeah.
you send out the proposal, even after some people have even paid or fully paid, you can change the pricing at any time. But I'm not sure if like for these groupies bookings or if it automatically updates. WeTravel doesn't do that, but like if prices do change on the daily and your customers haven't paid yet, or if one person has paid but the rest hasn't, you can always change pricing no matter what. I don't know if that helps answer the question though.
Yeah, that's helpful too.
Mhm.
I didn't know. Yeah, I know that you can change the pricing, but yeah, I would never think to do that. Usually I have it set. But yeah, I would use something different, especially if the group isn't that big.
Mhm.
And then how do how do we use with Vax? That's a great question. So Vax is one of our suppliers that we do bookings with groups and stuff, and it actually Travefy has an integration where you can just email the itinerary straight to Travefy. I think Krista mentioned that when we talked yesterday, and so WeTravel does not have that integration with Vax. You would have to basically type in your itinerary. So just to let you know that, Sunny.
And one thing I wanted to mention too, just because I saw this question pop up later in the by Janelle later in the chat here. You know, can you use Travefy and then use WeTravel for like the bookings and payments portion? Absolutely. So that might go hand in hand with Angela, what you were just describing as well. If
Yes.
for whatever reason, yeah, you want to use Travefy for maybe more of like the built out, the more robust itinerary or proposal version. I know they have amazing itinerary creation services, and I might be wrong here. I don't know if they do bookings and payments. So that's a lot of the times when our travel agents do use both in addition. So they can use Travefy. It sounds like maybe you can do that integration with Vax, get that itinerary into Travefy. And then within that proposal on Travefy, you can actually link up a WeTravel booking page. So that way, if you
Yes.
want to give all your customers that information, all those amazing pretty pictures to kind of entice them to book, but then you actually want everything to be still be automated post booking, you can absolutely provide a link to that WeTravel trip page. Obviously, you wouldn't have to even build out that WeTravel trip page as much as what we've showed, because all that
Yes.
information will be in Travefy, but you'll at least still provide your customers a way to book, a deposit, pay, and simplify everything that comes after as well.
Yes, I think that has been the game changer for me because I use both. I like Travefy. I use it. Like you said, the itinerary builder is great. For this particular one, because it has so many type of cabin types, I thought WeTravel is my one-stop shop. But if I had something else that was like for a family or a fit travel, then I probably would use the Travefy. But I do like what you said, Mary, is that putting that WeTravel link so that they can pay, creating that automation is like amazing. So it's another question is what is the cost for agents and how does commission work for this? And that you still have to go through our suppliers.
Good question. So I can cover like the basics of this, and then just so you guys know too, the last session of this training is where we'll really dive into pricing and like the different options that you have, so you can be more comfortable with like what option would make the most sense for you. To keep it like super simple and basic right now, WeTravel operates on like a processing fee, but it's industry low rates as low as like 1 to 2%, depending on like what kind of plan you want to go with. So that's like the basics. And then of course we'll go into more details on why maybe you'd want the 1%, why maybe you'd want the
Yes.
2%, and then add-ons that you can do from there as well. So we'll definitely cover all of that in the later session too.
Yeah, there's another question that says, what is the Stripe fee to the client? And I know we'll get into that as well, unless you want to.
Oh yeah. Well, there's no starting fee. So that's another positive is that what the question was? For some reason I
No, the
can't.
Stripe, you know how
Oh,
you
the
use
Stripe
Stripe.
fee.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So for the Stripe fee, there's a 2.9% credit card fee that goes directly to Stripe. With all of our fees, though, so like what I just mentioned, the WeTravel fee and then also the Stripe fee, you guys will always have the option on whether you want to absorb them for yourselves and maybe like build them into the trip cost, or you can pass both of them on to your customers or even split them up too. Angela, I'll let you speak to like what you do and what you found the most success with. But you always will have that option.
Yes. So I send the fee over to the client so that it's just done that my client. So I do groups where usually I have a host person and they're bringing their group in. So I usually leave it up to them. If I'm hosting the event, then I pass that on to the client. And then Mary put her information, which is great. So if you guys want to set up a demo directly with her to just kind of talk through it, you guys have your own itineraries. Maybe you have your own group ideas. She can definitely help you craft that and put it into We Travel and make a fit for you guys. And another question, if I use Travefy for web page, can you use the link to your services? Yeah, you mentioned that, that's great, Janelle. I would definitely use We Travel as the payment option if you're going to use Travefy. And then I am new and have 3 groups I am finalizing. One is a cruise, so that does itself, and the other one is more intricate. I am basically on my own setting up the payments and policies and procedures. And since you do groups, would you be able to send me the policies? Yeah, I can definitely send that to you, Sunny. And then another question is based on the itinerary you just showed us, is it free to plan for We Travel?
Yeah, so great question. And Jeanette, again, we'll go over this in much more detail in one of the later sessions, but we do have a free plan of We Travel. So, I mean, what that means is there's no monthly fee, which is great. The free plan does still come with that like 1% plus 30-cent processing fee, but pretty much everything that we covered today, in terms of like those trip pages, and customer portals, things like that, most everything is included in that free plan. There's a few things we touched on today, like those lead conversion tools, obviously like branding, things like that maybe don't come with the free plan, but we'll cover all of what's included in all of these different plans in one of our later sessions too. But I guess long story short, for the most part, most everything that we covered is in the free plan.
Yeah, great question. Anything else, guys? Feel free to unmute your line.
Yeah, and what I'll say too is Angela already kind of said on this, but if you guys like see this and you had more questions about like a feature maybe we didn't dive into today, or maybe you're even like still considering like, could I use We Travel? Definitely like don't hesitate to reach out to me, whether you just have a question or you maybe want to like do a more in-depth walkthrough of We Travel and exactly how it could work for your business. Obviously, I'm more than happy to chat. I put my email in there. But it's just Mary@wetravel.com. So pretty straightforward. And if you just mention like, hey, I was on the training session with Angela, I'll know exactly what it's about.
Great.
And then it says, when is your next training? So Angela, I think it's just next Wednesday at this time, right?
Next Wednesday at this time, that's right.
And I think next week is when we're going over like the trip organizer's point of view. So we'll go over like what it looks like for you guys to build a trip, what it looks like for you guys, like once you start collecting bookings and payments, how are you going to manage all of that? We'll cover all of that in next week's session. And then I believe the third session, which is just, again, the following Wednesday at the same time, we'll cover like money stuff, like what does it look like to collect money, accounting, what kind of reports do I get access to? And then of course we'll go over all the different packages we offer and what you get with all of them, and then pricing, and cover all those questions too.
Yes, good stuff.
Awesome.
What other questions? Any feedback? Anything you're curious about? Love to hear from you. Thank you, Jeanette. Yes, does sound like a game changer. Yes, I hope this works for you, Sunny.
Yeah, Sunny, feel free to reach out, and we'll help you out.
Yes. Yeah, it definitely can save you time as people make their payments. I just think it's more of being on top of them to go, you know, hey, are you interested? When are you going to make your payment? This is, you know, do you need any help? I think that has been more of the challenge for me, but it's really not a challenge because they have everything. So getting them to commit is the thing. And then sometimes there are some clients that have been a little older, or maybe they're like, you know, can you just do it? So that's when I will have to get a credit card authorization form, and then I can plug it in. So you can also do it that way as well. If people don't want to, I don't know what to push, or I don't know what to do, or, you know, so you can also reach out to that client and just have that concierge type of service for them where you do it for them. So I want to give you guys that as an option as well if you're having trouble with them making payments.
Totally.
All
right, and then it looks like, what if you are taking deposits on the day of the presentation? And sorry if you guys can hear my dog in the background. Sunny, are you saying like, if your deposits are due, I guess, what do you mean by presentation would be my question.
So I have to do presentations of the trip to the groups, the 2 big groups that I'm doing. And some people will want to sign up that day. And they'll want to give me a check and that kind of thing. And they'll actually want to sign up that day and have their deposit already made. I expect this on one of my trips to be, we're looking at probably 70 to 100 people. So I don't think everybody will sign up that day, but how do I just then go in and take all their information with, and then just enter it into the WeTravel form myself, since they've already given it to me, and then they can just go from there? Would that be the way to handle that?
So, okay.
Go for it,
I've done an event like that. Last year I kicked off I did a marriage retreat, and I kicked off the following year's marriage retreat there. And I had credit card authorization forms, but now I have an event that's coming up, and I'm now using WeTravel. So what I envision is having a QR code at the kiosk, right? Where I'm already a week before, 2 weeks before my event, I'm setting up my WeTravel site. It's already done. Payment options are in there. And then I'm going to have a QR code really visibly available for them to use their phone, and they can book and do their deposit right there. Now they're checking in, they're picking their option for their room or whatever it may be, and they're making their payments right there. But I'm also going to have, because there's, you know, different kinds of people, I'm also going to have some credit card authorization forms available on the table for people who just want to do it that way. Can you just give me a call? I don't feel like going through this whole thing. Can you just, and so I'll have those as well. So I think having both options.
Or I just want to write a check. I don't want to put it on a credit card, you know. I want to do my deposit in a check today, and then you call me and we'll figure it out. Okay. All right.
Versatility is the key.
Yep. And to that point as well, if you do have customers that really do want to pay with physical checks, that's totally fine. We actually, like, we'll get into this again, broken record here, in later sessions, but we'll show you exactly, like, if, you know, your customers want to pay cash, check, or any way outside of WeTravel, you can absolutely just record that on our back end as well, to help out those customers as well.
Okay.
That's great.
Angela, maybe we'll chat about that function too, or we'll learn about it next week. So So yeah, for sure.
Yes, I love it. Well, thank you all so much for your time. I'm so appreciative that you all jumped on. I hope I see you all next week. And as we dive into more about the capabilities of WeTravel, there's nothing else. We'll see you later.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much.
Bye.
See you next week.